our cockroach proposal presentation, and our title is Extroverts or Introverts, an analysis on the social behavior of Blaberus discoidalis. So to start off, we're going to go into some relevant background. So firstly, as you guys know, the cockroach we're using is the Blaberus discoidalis, and this is the scientific name for it, but it tends to go by the false deadhead's cockroach, and we'll probably just be referring to it as the discoid cockroach. So now getting into some of the studies that I thought were interesting. So the first one in 2016 looked at light avoidance behavior, but they looked at it in individuals and in groups, and they found that while in groups, there were individual differences that persisted, but when they did it isolated, they found that those individual differences were not persisting. So it just kind of shows the difference between social versus isolated. And another similar study is on personality and collective decision making. So they tested aggression and they found similar results with differences in aggression when in an isolated group and in a social group. And the last one to look at is done in actually 1933. So it's kind of one of the pioneer studies for cockroach cognitive research. And they looked at in a maze situation in individual versus groups. And it was actually interesting because they found that the cockroaches that were completing the maze individually were able to do it in the least amount of time, while the groups were actually taking the most amount of time. And they explained this as being because the cockroaches in the groups were getting distracted. So I just thought these are really interesting studies to build on our research.
All right. So our research question is escape behavior in discoid cockroaches influenced by social learning and group dynamics? And we have two hypotheses, the null and the alternative. And the null hypothesis is if cockroaches are introduced to a threat stimulus, will there be no difference in escape efficiency when comparing the isolation and social groups? And the alternative hypothesis is if cockroaches are introduced to a threat stimulus in a group setting, they will be able to escape more efficiently as opposed to independently due to their ability to engage in group dynamics and social learning.
All right, going into our methods. So we have designed a data collection in a way that we are going to be doing trials on them twice a week. One day we will do it during the day and one at night because they are more active in the evening. We're going to be testing two different things. The latency of them being like added into the arena and the stress stimuli applied and when they start moving, and then the total length of time when they finally make their way out of the Lego arena that we set up for them. We have a couple different stress stimuli that we want to apply to them to see if they have different reactions to different things, which include wind, visual predators, because we don't really have any scent cues and we don't really want to use a live animal to threaten them. We're also using light and noise as well. And then we will do one trial per day just to limit the stress on the individuals. And then as the weeks progress, each individual will start out being isolated first before joining into the group, just to limit the same roach being stressed out every single week.
All right, so on to the methods continued for the materials. We're looking at 5 individual cockroaches, marking tools to delineate between the cockroaches an escape arena in which they could be placed and monitored, studied. Then a simulated threat to induce an escape response without actually putting them in harm's way, such as flashing lights, sudden noises, or shaking of the arena. And then recording equipment to monitor and observe the cockroaches. And then for the test, we'd be using paired t-test and a Wilcoxon signed rank test.
So here are some broader implications. What is the outcome? So either we're going to be seeing the group dynamic be more efficient for the cockroaches to perform this escape behavior, or the single cockroach is going to be more efficient when performing the escape behavior. Likability and ethical consideration. It is noted that some cockroaches might have a preference on how to escape. Therefore, the group dynamic may or may not be consistent over time. So the more independent cockroaches might, have a faster or slower escape behavior. Ethically, we don't want to stress out or use very harsh stimulus while conducting our tests. So this raises the questions of, could one stimulus be more stressful than another? Will all the cockroaches have the same reaction to the same stimulus, or will they react differently, especially in a group dynamic? Other factors that could be considered could be determining or predicting which cockroaches might have a higher rate of fitness. And in a group dynamic, we can also look for altruistic behaviors. Research contributions that could be increasing public awareness for cockroach intelligence, establish cognitive empathy for insects, highlight their intrinsic value, build on animal cognition research regarding social behavior in insects. And here are our references.